Well, our final chat, I think, anyway, with Mr. Bell and Mr. Teare. Sorry, I mean, there's so many questions. You understand. Oh, in fact, let's ask you, in the House of Keys last week, were you surprised at the grilling and the grubbing you sort of took from backbenchers?
No, not at all. Clearly, this is a issue which generates strong views one way or the other. The personalities behind this company, going back a few years, on their own generate a great deal of hot air. But I have no problem at all with a decision such as this being questioned by members. That's what they're there for. And you know, if we have from time to time made mistakes on these things, it's sometimes helpful to have members identify these. I have absolutely no problem with that at all. What I have to say exasperates me beyond measure is when we get these tired old cliches churned out that somehow there's corrupt practices, it's cronyism, we're looking after our friends, we've all got our noses in the trough, and we know where that comes from. That is insulting in the extreme. People are working long hours to try and hold this economy together, to hold the support, particularly for the local domestic economy, together. It's done with the best intentions to help the Isle of Man and Manx people. And to have all the efforts, and not just the politicians, but the officers who work very long and hard to put these schemes together, are denigrated in such a way, I found beyond offensive, quite honestly. And I have to say, I do get emotional on these things at times, because it is insulting to everyone who is putting their nose to the grindstone to work for the best interest of the Isle of Man, and for it to be dismissed in such a gutter-like manner, I just have no patience with.
I mean, sorry?
I think too that what we're seeing now is people aren't questioning policies, they're questioning personalities, which really isn't helping the debate. I'm quite happy, prepared to justify what I've done, the decisions I've taken, but it would be certainly very helpful to me and my colleagues if members, when they criticise what we've done, said what they would have done as an alternative. There's only one side here, and that's the frustration from our point of view, Paul.
In Coleman itself, I mean, I don't know if you're going to answer this, but do you have to, was a lot of persuading required there before you went ahead with it? I mean, do you have to lay it all down and you were fighting inside, but then you go as a unified force?
On every issue, whatever it is, all these issues are brought to the chamber. Obviously there's differences of opinion, and some cases, not necessarily this, but in some cases they're very fierce differences of opinion. But we fight out our respective positions around the table, ultimately because of collective responsibility, unless there is some pre-declared position. Council then will unite behind whatever that ultimate decision. But there's nothing unusual about it. This is what a cabinet government is all about. It's fierce debate, and then we move forward with the policy.
I mean, the usual suspects, you might say, Liv Van were obviously onto you on this one, but I mean, Alf Cannon, a new member, he's been very vocal on this and other things so far. Are you surprised that you can't persuade him?
No, I think it's interesting here because on one hand he's talking for more support for the agricultural community, and on the other hand he's saying that we shouldn't have stepped in to support one of the major employers on the island and to support the economy as a whole. So I don't understand the logic of what to me appears to be two conflicting arguments.
Well, and he's argued on a number of occasions in support of growing the population on the Isle of Man, of growing the economy, how important and central the economic growth is. And he said on a number of occasions, we have to take risks if we are going to protect and to grow the economy. That's exactly what we're doing. And you know, the whole issue was somewhat false, certainly with some of the members, I'm not saying Mr. Cannon, in the sense that had we not stepped in and helped this restructuring, and had this company collapsed with the loss of jobs and all the ramifications I've been talking about, those very same people would be on their feet questioning us, demanding that government should have stepped in and we should have helped and we should have been looking after the welfare of those employees. These are situations where we can't win. We're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't, frankly.
Well, could I just say one thing, Paul, that too, we're somewhat at a loss to understand inconsistency at times. Now, when I delivered the 2012 budget, I was roundly criticised by some members for not cutting sufficient to balance the budget in that year. So the Chief Minister said it clear, and I fully support this view. We're not slash and burn. We have to do it on a gradual approach. And from my point of view, I think that's working well. But then as soon as one of a variety of services, the first was preschool education, then it moved on again, this time to university awards. As soon as that comes up, and we say, well, sorry, we have to do something about that because the cost is getting unsustainable, then all of a sudden we can't do that. So I'm just wondering, where do we go? It would be very nice, instead, as I said before, of constant criticism, if they came up and were specific in their comments as to what we can do, instead of saying that old hackney phrase, something should be done.
Well, weeks, a long time in politics and all that sort of thing, and it is actually in this room where all these decisions are made. This is the common room we don't always use this one for the interviews, but this is where it all happens, right?
Well, I think I'll be checking to make sure that you've taken all your microphones away.
And do you think we'll be talking about this next Friday as well? And next Friday, and I mean, this is like the Pinewood thing, isn't it now again, going on?
It's disappointing. The one thing above all, I've got to say, which disappoints me in this, and that's certainly in the political arena, but also sometimes the wider field, is the unwillingness of people, and particularly politicians, to start looking at the bigger picture. We all fight over the I'm not saying this is trivia, but we fight over the smaller matters. What we've got to be arguing now is, where is the Allan going to be in 10 years' time, 20 years' time? Where is the vision? The only vision some people have is 3.5 years down the road and re-election. We have a responsibility now to future generations to maintain the economy we've got. The Allan has done extremely well, but don't forget, we have been incredibly successful in holding things together so far. Look at the countries around us. Their economies are falling apart while we've steered a course. That is because of hard work and commitment. Now, where is the vision coming out of the existing membership in Tynwald and in the private sector, identifying the route forward for the future? Whenever we try anything new, we get attacked and attacked and attacked. There is no alternative. And it's not many months ago since Tynwald voted on a resolution from one of the new backbenchers to use the reserves selectively to help stimulate the local economy. That's exactly what we've done. Tynwald voted for it. I think they were unanimous when they voted for it. As soon as we do it, they've suddenly now all run for cover. They can't have it always. This is a very, very difficult administration to live through, with the most difficult times we've had for many generations. There are some very hard decisions to make, and we've got to step up to the plate and do it. They won't always be popular, but they will take the Allan through to where we need to be.
Well, I can tell you finally, I mean, it's of interest to the public. I mean, your interviews last week are one of our most viewed of the month. People are interested, and you take that into account. But when you are dealing with the press, and I suppose that's all you can do is put your case and continue to do so.
We try to be as open with the media as we possibly can. We've nothing to hide in this. There's no secret deals, nothing behind it. We are genuinely trying to help the local economy to protect jobs and to grow the economy for the future. We had our Roman Coleman this week. We are very open to meet the public whenever we can. The public were free to come along and ask whatever questions they want, which they did, and of course the Sefton was part of it. As you know, as Chief Minister and as Treasury Minister, we're accessible at any time to the media. We're not trying to hide anything. We're trying to do our best to explain to people the very, very difficult and challenging times we're living through at the moment, and that calls for very difficult and hard decisions. And that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And people vote for us. They put us in a position, they vote for us to make decisions, and that's exactly what we're doing.